Hey guys, we're live. It's Matthew Greenwood with Fireside Chat again. Tonight, Ascension growing pains. Look, I think I've heard so much and listened to so much of late just about what's going on and what everyone's going through. So we're going to have a big one tonight around this. So I hope we get lots of people on board for this one with lots of questions. Really important that everyone joins in with this, because everyone, there's not one person on the planet that's not being affected by this. Hello, Cassie. Hello, Fiona and Trina. G'day, Janelle. Good to have you guys on board. So tonight, don't forget, Anne and Paulette. How you going? So don't forget tonight to share. If you think that what we'll be talking about is worthwhile for your friends to hear, people you know, clients, whoever it is. So it's going to be a big one tonight, I hope. And wow, the names are already coming through. So hey, Paulette, Robin, and Petra. G'day, Petra, Alison, and hello, Mal. You're going to have to forgive my pronunciation. Marie, Brooking, Kia ora. And okay, and we've got Amanda Cleland. Hey, Amanda, and Shirley. Good to see you guys. All right, so tonight, like I said, don't forget to share, to let people know what's going on. They may be interested. Also, don't forget to comment, because then it gets you a little bit deeper into having the chance to win a free spirit guide reading. And hello, Karen and Lee Bramier from Illinois, USA. Well, great to see you on board. Nicola and Mariska. Howdy, howdy. All right. So tonight, we're just going to announce the winner of the free spirit guide reading to start with. So we've got Lisa Marie Littleton. So Lisa, we'll be letting you know that you're a winner, and when you're able to, give me a call, and we'll be able to set up an appointment time, and then I'll pass on some great messages from your guides. And all right, so look, one of the things, without jumping too much into the talk yet, because what I do, for those that haven't been involved in the Fireside Chats before, I always start off with a grounding exercise that takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So look, I highly recommend you, if you haven't done this before, give it a go, because this is something. So I've been doing this work for about 32 years now, and I do a lot of talks around the place. I do not just in South Australia, but I've been over to New Zealand a lot, Western Australia, Queensland, Victoria. And one thing that's needed more than anything now is grounding, because people are being affected by a lot of stuff, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And grounding is a big part of what's needed. So this exercise is not a long process, and it needs to be done at least twice a day. And whenever you feel you've been rattled a bit. So let's give this a go. Like I said, it's short, and by the time you've done it a few times, it really only takes about half a minute, and it will really pay for itself. And we've got Christy Lee, Karen, Trina, again, congrats, Lisa, Gina Callahan. All right, here we go, guys. So let's do a grounding exercise, and then we'll get on with our talk. So just to start with, if you can close your eyes and begin by taking nice, deep, full breaths. So what these breaths are about, and in roughly about 4 seconds breathing in and 4 seconds breathing out. Hey, Joe Wake. So the breath in is not just about oxygen, it's about life force, something that A lot of people don't even realize we can't do without. We need to have life force flowing into our energy system. And this is a great way to do it. So breathing is a technique that's used for a lot of processes. Yoga, meditation, martial arts, all kinds of things. Okay, so now that you're doing those nice deep breaths, with the next breath in, just imagine that this breath in is pulling in nice clean life force, and it's filling up your auric energy, all of the auric bodies around you, your energy system, which feeds the chakras, which feeds the physical body, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So as you're breathing that life force in, just imagine the fact that it will be bringing nice clean energy into your space. And so what you may feel is some tingling around you or effervescence. That's energy. Okay, so with the next deep breath in, pulling that life force in, then with the breath out, push it down through your body, down through your pelvic area, base chakra, legs, feet, and into the earth. Hey, Gypsy Rose. G'day, Louise. Doing a grounding exercise, Louise. Okay, so now that you've got energy flowing down through your body, your base chakra, legs, feet into the earth, taking another nice, deep, full breath in, pulling that life force in with the breath out, just drive that energy now down to the core of the earth. So what you're connecting with when you're diving down into the core of the earth is our deepest chakra point that we have, and it's commonly known as our earth chakra. Just so happens that the earth herself has a chakra point down there. Our earth chakra and her chakra aligns. So when we activate ours, when we actually do a little bit of tweaking with it, as we're doing now, it fully engages with the earth's core chakra. Then we become deeply grounded. But like I said, we'll talk more about that one. Hey, Myra. All right. So now that you've got that, you should feel tingling or some sort of sense of peace around you with that earth chakra. Base chakra, you should feel tingling going down through your feet into the earth. Now, just to finish off, just let your breathing relax. And what I'll get you to do now is bring your awareness to the center of your body, physical body to start with. Now, knowing that we are far more than physical, energy-wise, we have great depth within us on a different dimensional plane. So our energy system is not three-dimensional. It goes beyond that. Just like the TARDIS in Doctor Who, we have a huge space inside us. So what I'd like you to do now is allow your awareness to dive deep into your energy system, deep inside you. What you're going to connect with is a light or a high vibrational energy source, which is the God force within. So whatever your beliefs are on God, the universe, creator, Tonkashila, as the Lakota say, that energy is within us. So as soon as you see, feel, or sense that high vibrational energy, I want you to start to focus on it and begin to expand it out through your body, through your energy system, into your physical body, so that every cell in your body is beginning to vibrate with that high frequency light. Hey, Karen McKenzie, we're just doing a grounding exercise, Karen. And So now that you can feel that or sense that high vibrational energy, now begin to expand it out beyond your physical to about 3 to 4 meters out in all directions. What you're expanding that light out into is around about up to your 9th energy body. And from the physical right through to the 9th energy body relates to this physical body, this physical life, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. But going out into the 8th and 9th energy body relates to your connection to galactic energy, which we're actually going to talk a little bit about also tonight. All right. So now with that, one last thing is focus on that light and that area around you, 3 to 4 meters around you. Now begin to build it up in strength. Just keep packing light into that. Keep expanding light into that space until you just want to let it explode. Don't let it go yet. Keep that building up. Yep, that's fantastic. On the count of 3, I want you to just let it explode out in all directions. 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. You know, it shouldn't, but it still amazes me that I can feel your energy when I tell you to let it explode. I can still feel all of your energy exploding out. That's absolutely fantastic. All right, beautiful, guys. So very gently, just begin to bring your awareness back to your physical body, where you're sitting in your chair or on the floor, or wherever you are. Excellent. And look, what we will do is just later on, I'll talk a little bit about workshops I've got coming up. Seems to be a lot happening now. I'm being invited out to do a lot of talks for people. Things have just shot forward. It's fantastic. People are coming out of the cupboards and really getting into life again because they've been tucked away for a little bit. It's been an energetic thing. So look, so tonight's about ascension growing pains. This is a really important subject. And to be honest, in the early days when I first started, ascension was the word, and people got it a little bit, let's say, mixed up as to what exactly ascension was. A lot of people, and I'm talking a lot of people in the new age, were waiting for the mothership to come along to just take them off this planet, and it's not quite how it was ever going to happen. So we are going through an ascension process now, but let's look at everything that's actually going on, because it's not just one thing. There's many things happening that are creating, let's say, a lot of fear in people at the moment, a lot of changes physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. G'day, Paul. How you going? So where do we start? Human consciousness. So across the planet, there is a lot of control. I'm probably not surprising anyone with this statement, but there is a lot of control and manipulation going on the planet, an incredible amount. And from the media through to governments, through to this vaccine process, which I know everyone's got different views on that one, but it's still promoting a lot of fear. And that has a huge effect. All of that fear that's going on has a huge effect on human consciousness. So there are people that are doing a lot of work on themselves, spiritual work, so they are a bit more stable than the average person. I hope you guys are one of those. And you're not as affected as a lot of people on the planet. But that large amount of people on the planet that are being affected by fear can, and sometimes will do, affect our consciousness, our vibration. So That's one thing that's going on. That's a real basic thing that's been going on for quite a while. So another thing is there has been, and I was aware of this around about 12, 13 years ago, there's been a raising in frequency that's been happening for that long. And it was at least noticeable back then, about 12, 13 years ago. And it's been a steady energy incline since that time. And it's still happening. This cycle of energy that we're in, which is the prelude to the golden age of humanity, which is said to be 1,000 years of peace and tranquility. What's driving our, I guess you could say, the vehicle that's getting us to that is this raising in frequency. But you got to remember what this raising in frequency is doing. So it's doing a lot. Yes, it's affecting our energy system. It's affecting us in many ways from our abilities opening up, but it's affecting on many levels. So all of that lower vibrational energy, our baggage, anything that relates to anything of a low vibrational nature that we hold within us, which can be our stuff, it can also be other people's stuff that we carry from childhood. That energy is being rattled by this high frequency energy that's around us now. So there was an old thing I learned many, many years ago with shamanism that if you if you have negative energy within you or low vibrational energy within you, and you impact that with high vibrational energy, well, then you're going to rattle that energy loose, and basically the truth will be seen eventually. So guess what? On the bigger picture, the macrocosm, we're the microcosm. On the macrocosm, on the earth, have a look around. The truth is being seen. People that are lying, people that are manipulative and controlling, the truth is being seen. And so this is really important to know that there's a lot going on that, a lot of people have fears about how can we change this world? Well, guys, it's already happening. It's been happening. It's everyone's buttons are being pushed, but they have to be pushed to actually shift human consciousness so that we begin to really let go of that low vibrational energy. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, to do with that raising in frequency, there's something else that's really huge that's going on. Now, what this is this goes back to humanity's beginnings. And I've talked about this a lot, but I know we've got a few newcomers in tonight. So what we've been carrying within our physical body is DNA that scientists and specialists on this DNA level called rubbish DNA. Now, I think a lot of that name, rubbish, has been used to put us off what it truly is. But what's happening now is that supposed rubbish DNA, which is not rubbish DNA, it's dormant DNA that relates back to our galactic beginnings. Look, I'm not going to go into the whole story around that, but maybe if you listen to one of the fireside chats around galactic beings, it'll come up in there. But humanity's beginnings really started with a lot of galactic beings coming together, a lot of genetic coding that's been changed as humanity's been growing. And so with the vibration of the earth as it was in those early days, a lot of that galactic energy became dormant because it was of a higher vibrational energy. And so because the energy of the earth was of a lower vibrational nature, it actually pulled down the vibration, the frequency of that DNA to a point where it became dormant. So levels of it were active, but majority of it was dormant. So now that this raising in frequency is going on, guess what? That energy, that DNA that's been dormant is waking up. Now, this has proven itself over and over and over again. And look, there are many speakers out there, I believe, that have been talking about this, that I've been told about. I personally, I don't really watch a lot of, listen to a lot of those speakers, because I like the information that's coming through to me from galactic beings that I work with to be clean. I don't want it to be tainted by other people's conversations. So, hi Sarah, how you going? So, and Kay. So what's happening with this dormant DNA that's becoming active? It's having an effect on our physical body. So part of the ascension growing pains is actually on a physical level. Now, I'll try to keep this short because we've got a lot to talk about tonight. But what's happening on a physical level is our glands are being pushed fairly hard at the moment. So if you have a look, if anyone that knows anything about physiology knows that glands are a very important part of us. So what they do is they help to balance all of the physiological systems that are running in our body. And generally, if we're doing the right thing by our body, they function really well. The problem is when we abuse our body, then the glands are affected by that. And so the messages get a little bit screwed up, and then we have issues with our physical body. So what's happening now is with that DNA that's waking up, our bodies need to be able to integrate that activated DNA. And so the glands, I noticed about 9-10 years ago, that the glands, where all the glands are, it's like there was a little in the aura, in the auric field, there was a little light or an energy that opened up. And what I've realized is that the glands have woken up on a higher vibrational level to incorporate this galactic DNA that's waking up in us. So what's been happening for people in their physical body are things like, I'll start from the head and work down. So thought processes have been a bit muddled. Sleeping habits have been affected pretty heavily. Waking up at 2-3 in the morning and not being able to get back to sleep. Being really sun sensitive all of a sudden, and then it goes away. So going from inside the house to outside the house, and everything's extremely glary when it's not normally that way. What else? Vision, people's vision has been affected at times. Then start going down to the thyroid and parathyroid glands, which do a lot of governing of the heart and blood pressure. So high-low blood pressures when your blood pressure rate is normally stable. Also palpitations, so fluctuating heart vibrations in the activity of the heart. And the pancreas has been affected as well as the adrenals. So having issues around your blood sugars, even when you're not diabetic. The adrenals, like feeling like you've gone into adrenal overload when there's no reason for it. It's not like you've been doing crazy stuff. And also for women, the reproductive system has been pushed a little bit, where the issues around that time of the month, where you may be really balanced normally, it can be, maybe painful or, heavy flow where it's not normally. So all of these things are being affected because it relates to our glands and what the glands are having to do now. Our bodies are adjusting to this, but I know a lot of people in a lot of different places, and many of them have been going off to the doctor because their bodies have been doing strange stuff. The doctors are seeing it as an issue, a problem, because all they're doing is doing what they're trained to do, which is go and get blood tests, because they think it's some sort of disease or something wrong with one of the organs. And so when the tests come back, they're normal. And it's only because the glands are fluctuating. Now, if you have physical issues, please don't just disregard them. I'd still suggest you get blood tests, because sometimes certain organs can get squeezed a bit with this issue, and you may need to, get some help with it. But 90% of people that have gone through these situations, the blood tests are coming back normal. Look, I even know an alternative doctor who was really grateful for what I told her about this stuff, because she was finding that with her clients, exactly the same issue. So that's another thing. Now, the Schumann resonance. I don't know if a lot of people know about the Schumann resonance, but this is basically the frequency of the Earth. Now, what's been happening, the frequency of the Earth has been a bit all over the place. In fact, it took a huge shift about 3 weeks ago. It spiked coincidentally. No, never any such thing as a coincidence. There's always something behind it. So synchronicity to that spiking, there's been a lot of solar flares, solar storms, and solar activity that's been far greater than for a long time, and that's affecting the Schumann resonance of the Earth. Now, if the Schumann resonance is affected, then that's going to affect our connection to the Earth. So this is why all of these things are happening. So look, I'm just going to go quickly to a few questions or a few statements. Hi, Christina. So Adair's saying, is there any relationship to what's happening with Big Pharma? Example, we've been told to take a pill and we'll be fixed. Oh, God, most definitely. And most people out there are in that mode that if they feel something wrong with them, as soon as they get a headache, they take a pill. If they feel something going on in their gut, they take a pill. And it just masks everything. So no one's actually, people have been trained by Big Pharma and doctors to do that. Whereas if you've got a headache, there's a reason why you've got the headache. I can clear a person's headache with energy very quickly. All you need to do is, number one, get them grounded, get them to communicate and talk about whatever's been going on in their head, and the headache clears. It's really simple. But what's the long-term effect of headache tablets? So I'm going to leave that one for you. So Myra's saying, oh my God, my daughter has had some of these issues. She's had blood tests too. Yep. And this is very, very common. So we've got Tracy. Hey, Tracy Williams. So 100% adrenals and hormones are out of whack for years now. Yep. When I started some natural herbal tonics, I basically face planted for 2 hours. Yeah, look, it's having a huge effect on people's well-being. G'day, Tony Ford. How you going? And so we really need to start reeling in our fear, start to get more grounded. And that grounding exercise that I gave you guys to start with, that's one of the best ways to actually stabilize your energy. Now, when the Schumann resonance, for example, is affected, then we've got a choice. We don't have to just, be shaken up by it. We can actually reground our energy, and that's what this actually comes down to a lot of the time. It's not just grounding, it's regrounding your energy for whatever change is going on in that moment. So sometimes, particularly over these last 4 weeks, where people have been shaken up fairly heavily, people have been out of whack for a lot of that time. Now, all you need to do is do a grounding exercise, and that will actually stabilize your energy. So this is one of the things, because it's a quick process. It's only like honestly, if you do it over and over again a few times and you start to get the hang of it, it'll only take 30 seconds. Before and after every client that I see, because I'm dealing with a lot of people each day, all I have to do is reground in between each client, and my energy, my head feels clear. My energy system, my emotions feel clear. and I'm stable for the next person. If I wasn't doing that grounding exercise, I'd fall apart within a few days because, I'm around sometimes other people that are having a lot of trouble. So, okay, so Adair's just saying something. My son has had stomach issues for over 18 months now. He's had tests and scans. They can't find anything wrong with him. And this will, I'm sure, because I know for a fact that, because I've met him, that there'll be issues around that for him. And it's really about grounding, which will help him, but also to deal with any emotional baggage, because this is the low vibrational stuff that we carry within us that needs to be shaken up and released. So it's that low vibrational energy that we carry, which actually affects our base chakra in the first place. So we clean up our emotional baggage, and then what happens is we clean up our space and we become far more connected to Mother Earth. So Fiona is saying, I'm guessing I'm balances in the glands will affect the chakras too. Oh, hell yeah. Is there any way that we can address the physical issues by going through the chakras? Yes, but sometimes it's not enough. So what we have to do is, I'm kind of jumping the gun here a little bit, but there's a couple of other things I was going to say, but I'll come back to that. We have to remember something about ourselves. There's 4 parts to us. We're not just physical, we're not just spiritual, we're physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And you can add in there galactic, but we won't worry about that one at the moment. So physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. We have to be, if we're going to get through this in a stable nature, then we need to be actively doing things to support those 4 parts of us. And it's so important that we continue to do that. That needs to be very important. So tweaking our things like our diet, making sure we're eating the right foods, making sure we're nurturing ourselves on emotional level, doing anything we can to remove stress out of our life. And we need to look at the bigger picture with that stuff, because that's what's continuing to keep us in an unstable and ungrounded state. So that in turn will help our physical body, because you help one level of our energy system and it will have a knock-on effect to the other. But of course, with the physical, we need to be doing things like, some sort of exercise, eating the right foods, looking after, because our emotions affect our physical as well. Of course, the way we think affects our physical, and it's all one big. Everything touches everything else. Everything is connected. There's a beautiful word the Lakota have, "Mitakuye Oyasin," which means we are all connected. We are all one. We are all related, and we're all being affected by this. You can't run anywhere. You can't hide anywhere from this anymore. Hey Louise, can you suggest ways to connect to and know our galactic selves? That's coming. Probably, meditation is probably one of the best things. That's another thing we can be doing that's going to help stabilize our energy. Meditation and bringing a bit of focus to start with to clearing our minds, because it's this low vibrational energy that affects our minds, that keeps them very busy. People don't realize that busyness, that non-stop words and rhetoric that's going on in our head relates to baggage that we hang on to, and that negative talk that we believe a lot of the time within us. So you begin to release that, let go of that, and this way you can then learn to meditate. You connect with your guides, which is probably more so important at the moment, is connecting with your guides, because they're here for your physical life. But then, of course, galactic beings are here to support our growth and our connection to them, which they see us just as we should see them as family. We carry the same DNA sometimes. Um, and just got a hey Amanda, ground in between interactions with anyone you cross paths with, raise your vibration to. Yes. So thanks for that, reminding me. So yes, like I said earlier on, it's important to, anytime you feel like you've been shaken, then do that little grounding exercise. This is why I actually put that together, was initially for me, when I'm doing a lot of work, if I go to New Zealand or I go to Western Australia and I'm there for 2 weeks and I'm kind of non-stop for 2 weeks. And that grounding exercise keeps me really energized and flowing all that time. But what I'm finding now is it's needed more so just to keep us stable, in everyday life because of the changes that are going on. So our bodies, the more we do that grounding exercise and the more we release old energy, our bodies then begin to adjust and begin to hold a higher level of balance, which is really important. That way, we can begin to start to connect on that galactic level. But it's like, if people aren't at a certain vibrational level, it's a bit hard to connect to that galactic energy. But by doing the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, you're actually supporting that galactic aspect of you anyway. And that's, at this point, that's what's necessary. Because really our energy system and our consciousness is already connected to these galactic beings that have been watching us for a long time. So Karen's saying, definitely trouble with sleep and ringing in ears. Yep, that's definitely one. In the ear that lasts 30 seconds at a time. Yes, and yep, that's pretty common too. Yeah, it'd be great to see him, Adair, when I'm up there in Queensland. So I'll be going up to Queensland. For anyone that's from Queensland, I'll be going up there in beginning of July. So it'd be good to see you guys up there. And Dare's also saying, I have an OM CD I play on a loop to help clear negative energy in my space. Yep, that's great. But look, that's good. But it's really important to be getting help from someone to release old emotional energy. This is the thing that gets in the way. Look, so many spiritual people out there are very gifted, but they could be a whole lot more gifted naturally if they just release old emotional baggage. This is the secret to spiritual evolvement and spiritual awareness. It's funny, a lot of people buy crystals, a lot of people read books, a lot of people hope for the best, that their psychic abilities are going to, suddenly come up one day. They're going to be able to see auras, guides, see galactic beings. What naturally happens, and I've got to say this, what naturally happens without even trying is when you actually clean your act up, so release old emotional baggage. I know I sound like a broken record here, but the more you release that stuff, your abilities come to the surface anyway, because it's that emotional baggage that is the only thing getting in the way of being able to use your psychic abilities. And Karen, oh my, I'm just about to sign up to work with Child Protection Department for a couple of days a week. Here comes some huge self-work by the sounds. Yep. Well, you've thrown yourself into that one. A major grounding practice. Feeling a bit nervous now. Oh, look, don't feel nervous. Just see it as a gift, because it's there to help push that the childhood stuff to the surface. And I'm happy to help out if you need. That's the work I do, and that's what I do. So, and look, it's not just me. There's other people out there doing the same thing, but or maybe in their own way. But this is the major work I do, is helping people to release old emotional energy. So Myra's saying, yay, we can't wait to see you. Oh, thanks, Myra. Mariska, we'll see you there. Oh, cool. Okay. So Dare's saying, yes, you were right about that. Releasing baggage is so important. You are the master at helping for that. And we got Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. How do you release that baggage? Keep trying, but life has to go on. It's not something that you can do by yourself a lot of the time, particularly when there's a lot there. If you're not used to doing that, this is where you need to trust someone that knows what they're doing and hand it over to them to help you to do it. So it's not a process of magic, waving a magic wand. You play a big part in this, but it's just going through a process where you clean up your energy. And look, there are many forms of this, but I can only highly recommend what I do because I do help a lot of people, and it's worthwhile doing because I know what it's done for me over the years. In the beginning when I first started doing spiritual work, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be a client for the rest of my days. But it didn't take long to start releasing stuff. Once your body gets into a mode of releasing, it wants to keep going with it. And it's amazing how quickly you evolve and how quickly you open up. Um, and if you wanted to, Rochelle, I'm happy to have a chat with you offline to give you a bit of an understanding of what the process is. Because there's always fear around the unknown, but let's not make it unknown anymore. Let's get it up to the surface so we can talk about it. And maybe this would be a good fireside chat to actually talk about the way I work. Um, so what if the baggage becomes overwhelming during the process of healing and releasing? Um, Fiona, I've never had any problems with that with anyone. Um, I see someone through to the end of that session and make sure that they leave that session in a really well balanced state, and they do. Um, it's important. This is why it's important to be with someone that knows what they're doing when you are going through, particularly in the early days when you're going through emotional release, um, because you don't want to be left half cooked, so to speak. And I've heard of this sort of stuff happening with people that practitioners that don't 100% know what they're doing. So Sarah's Bristow, the session that I had with you for clearing old emotional energy was incredible. Oh, thanks, Sarah. I had those vivid dreams for over a year, every night, and at its worst, 8 a night. They stopped just after that session. Thank you so much. Looking forward to my next one. Thanks, Sarah. And Christina, you start wanting to embrace your challenges. Yes, most definitely. Look, I can guarantee this, that any of your fears, any of your anxieties can be turned around to become your strengths. Because I've been doing it for the last 32 years. One of the biggest, let's say, weaknesses I had, or imbalances I had, was communicating, was talking. And I did a lot of work on myself. I needed to go to the core of why I had that issue. And so I did, and you can't shut me up now. So, and but this now has become my strength because I understand what gets in the way of it, and this is what it is. So many people are trained to only look on the surface at the band-aid, uh, when shamanism is about going right down to the core of what kicked it off in the first place, and so that's where we need to start healing, not with a band-aid. Tracy's saying, I agree. Get rid of get rid of that emotional baggage. Um, and Christina Cooper. Hi, Christina. Thank you, Matthew. You're confirming a lot. Thank you for the reminder to be grounded and cleanse our energy fields. And Myra saying, releasing is amazing. Comes to that point where people think you are nonchalant. Yeah, you find a new sense of balance and harmony. And when you're around people that, I guess, are just living what would be classified as a normal life, they see you as being really grounded and calm and chilled out. And the majority of the time I am. Sure, look, I'm human. I go through stuff as well, but it's important to remember that the skills that I've learned along the way, particularly this grounding exercise, and that, as Amanda mentioned before, it's not just the grounding that helps this. It's also raising your frequency. Hey, Amanda, you jumped in again. And it's raising your frequency with that core star energy. So that light that you connected with in the beginning. So everyone that's listening tonight, if you haven't got it already, you can download on the Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys Facebook site. You can download that grounding exercise. So please get it, because it will help you. So not just the grounding is important, but raising your frequency with tapping into that high vibrational light inside, which I related to as the God force within. Technically, they call it your core star energy. The more you raise your frequency, the less you're going to attract people in particular that are of a low vibrational nature. This is really important, because you want to be around. Someone once said to me, and I was reminded of this myself, that if you want to grow, this is an old sort of learning tool. If you want to grow, if you want to move beyond the space that you're in, then don't keep hanging around the same sort of people. Sounds cold, but don't keep hanging around the same sort of people that are down there at that level. You need to be hanging around people that are at the same level as you or higher, because it's that hanging around with people that are at a higher vibrational level that will help pull you up to that surface, and you start to think more about your life. You start to think more about ways of clearing up your life. And it's so important to remember that, because we need to be around teachers that can actually give us information that can really project us forward in a much more positive manner. There is so much manipulation going on the planet, and we need to actually shift ourselves out of that. All right, back on track. Try to. We talked about the Schumann resonance. So the other thing that affects us too, when there's a planetary alignment, which has been happening on and off over the last 10 years or so, that changes the frequency of energy on the planet. This raising in frequency I've talked about too, which is a steady raising in frequency that will continue for the next 80 years. Got to tell you, we can't escape this, so we need to work with it. The important part of this is it's not just happening now at a gentle rate. There are also waves of higher frequency energy coming in, which what I've noticed is, if I look, when one of these waves of energy comes in, what happens is I get a run of clients that are dealing with almost exactly the same thing, because that the vibration or the frequency of that wave of energy that's come in has hit people at exactly the same point. And that can be anything from looking at your physical body, looking deeper at your physical body. It can be how you deal with your own self-talk. It can be how you're dealing with relationships. And this is so important to remember, that you're not the only ones going through this. There are other people that will be going through the same thing. And so that affects our base chakra. As soon as there's a shift in consciousness, that affects our base chakra. And I think I said about those solar storms and other activity on the sun, but also the taking away of our freedom. Now, look, I got to share a story with you guys. This was one of the most disgusting things I've heard. This is in little old Adelaide, which I thought was safe from this sort of stuff. A message was passed on to me by someone that was having coffee up at Stirling, which is a nice little Adelaide Hills town, beautiful little town, lots of cafes, beautiful energy, lots of nice big trees, forests around there. Now, what happened? Two police walked into the cafe, shut the door. They were able to lock the door with a bolt. And then they went through every person's mobile phone to see if they'd done the COVID check-in. They then got out their books, their tickets, and they gave people a ticket and a fine for $1,000 that hadn't checked in, and the poor owner of the cafe got a fine for $5,000. Do you believe this? This is now happening in Australia. So get ready for it, guys. Our freedom's being taken away from us. All right, so this is affecting how people think. This is affecting all kinds of stuff. So Myra's saying, yay, thank you. We'll use it for the Cairns peeps and myself. Thanks, my pleasure. So Christina's saying, your grounding exercises had greatest impact than others I've done in the past. Thanks, Christina. Myra, hey, my son used to say, if you hang around with dogs, you become one. Yeah. And that's at the age of 16 years. He's now 40 something, and I'll bet you he's pretty aware at 40. So good to hear that energy is being raised when we are led to believe that we're all doomed. No, we are definitely not all doomed. I have a new optimism for my grandson and his children now. Thank you. All right. So these are things we can be doing, and I've talked about some of them already. So we can be doing that grounding exercise. My suggestion is at least on a good day, when everything's going really good, twice a day. First thing in the morning when you get up, and about 15 minutes before you go to bed. The one thing I've found, though, is don't do it directly before you go to bed, because that tapping into your core star energy can raise your frequency to a point where it's a bit hard. You're a bit wired and you're a bit hard to get to sleep. Oh, so here we go. Kevin Field, a fellow I know, Balhana Mida 10 store copped a $20,000 fine the other day too. There you go. For not having people check in. So it's going to have to be that someone's employed just to make sure you check in. This is ridiculous. Okay, so we talked about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So looking after those four aspects of you, and very powerful when you start doing. Think of your life like a Spock in the old days, Spock from Star Trek, Spock's multi-level game of chess. So you've got, on the first level, you've got physical, next layer is mental, next layer is emotional, next layer is spiritual. That is one game, one big game. But there are these four different games within the big game. This is us. This is who we are. So if you only actively put a lot of energy into one level of that game, you may get a little bit of positive come out of it, but you'll most likely lose in the end. But if you start doing positive things on each level of that game, what's going to happen? You've got to win. This is how it works. Refining our diet, refining the food we don't eat refined foods, eat fresh food, eat homegrown foods, because we know that what is said to be fresh isn't always fresh. It can have been put in the freezers or whatever, so we need to be actually working as a community. Find people, if you're not growing foods and you're doing other things to support growth on the planet, then work with other people that are actually really into growing fruit and veggies, and trade with them. Start a community. This is how communities begin, and they don't have to be right next to you. They can be half an hour drive down the road. But this is where we're going. We need to be working with other people. Communities are really important now. We talked about meditation, raising your frequency, keeping that frequency up, connecting with nature. Go out into nature, be around the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom. This is actually what helps to raise our frequency too. You walk into nature, particularly into a forest where there's not a lot of people around, and that immediately fuels you up. I can tell you that for sure. We've got forests all around us down here. Doing your best to stay away from technology. Here I'm talking on a with a laptop in front of me, but as much as you can. Yes, we need technology at times, but rule of thumb is, if you're not using your mobile phone, it should be at least 1.5 meters away from you. If it's in your pocket, it's heating up the cells of your body. And you know what that does? It creates issues within your physical body, and it can definitely create cancer. Particularly the 5G. It's probably even further away now with 5G. But don't have your phones nearby your bed when you go to sleep. You're going to use them as an alarm, put them over in the corner, the far corner of the room. So look, just if you need help with this, this is what I do for a living. It's what I have a passion for doing, is for helping people to get through this stuff. I've been very lucky and fortunate enough to have a lot of information fed to me about this from guides, galactic beings, and from other practitioners, other people that are really good people in the field. So, highly recommend getting help when you need it. Don't feel like you're on your own. In fact, that just helps you to drop your vibration even more. So reach out and get some help. Okay, guys, I'm just going to give you a bit of insight into workshops that are coming up. And here we go. So we've got May 14th. I've got a free talk at Infinite Flow down at Christie's Beach. It's a new little shop set up by Amanda Gauchi, I know really well. So May 15th, 16th, 22nd and 23rd, it's a 2-weekend level 4 practitioner course. It's very close. So anyone that's done level 1, 2 and 3 and you're interested in doing the practitioner course, give me a ring. I've got rattle making on the 30th of May and the 6th of June. I've got a drumming in the teepee. Good old teepee is getting used again. June 11th. June 12th and 13th, I've got level 1 shamanism down at Infinite Flow, down at Christie's Beach. And I've got a free talk also at over at Holden Hill at Danny's place. July 31st and August 1st, I've got level 1 shamanism at Riverdale. Level 1's been a really good workshop for me. It's just consistently really good information, and I update the information that goes into it too. All the time. I've got a smudging workshop coming up. Now, this smudging workshop is not about making a smudging fan. It's actually about how to smudge and also different ways to smudge. It's also about making a smudging stick and also about plaiting sweetgrass. So it's going to be an interesting workshop. I haven't done this one before. I've got a spirit guide talk at Riverdale in Gawler on August 20, September 3rd, galactic channeling at Riverdale, September 11th and 12th, level 2 shamanism, and October 23rd and 24th, level 3 shamanism. Now, also, next week, I shall put information over line about what's happening up in Queensland. So we've got a whole lot happening up there now too. So I think for tonight, thank you all for your questions. To see if there's anything more there that I need to talk about. Christina saying they treat food for nursing homes with bleach to make long life. Yeah, that's terrible. It's just not right, what we do to our old people. So Gypsy saying, good advice. Thanks for tonight. Oh, my pleasure. We'll check out the other Fireside Chats. Keep well, dear brother. So you have fun up there, Louise, and that beautiful rainforest retreat you're in. Half your luck. It's a beautiful spot. And I think that's it. I think that's it. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Really happy to bring this information to you and things you can be doing to help yourself through it. And I'm only a phone call away if you need any help. Thanks, guys. I shall see you next Wednesday night. Have a safe week, but have a great week too. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.